This video looks at Afrofuturism as an aesthetic that centers Black people in science fiction, technology, and space. It celebrates a movement that has created powerful representations of Blackness in the future and recovers Black spirituality, stories, and traditions that have been erased. Afrofuturism's roots can be traced back as far as the 1950s. Sun Ra, an experimental jazz artist based in Chicago, was one of the first to introduce it to the mainstream. In his day, Ra mixed early psychedelic sounds with space-aged alien costumes inspired by African tradition. His ideas were later taken up by musicians like Parliament Funkadelic in the 70s and Africa Bambaataa during the 80s birth of hip-hop. The 90s saw a rise in Afrocentric ideas, music, and fashion with young Black communities, and Afrofuturism became fully adopted in pop culture. Outside of music, Afrofuturism is seen in many artists' work. Its influence can be found on the canvases of Basquiat and Renee Cox, and in the sci-fi stories of Octavia Butler and Nnedi Okorafor. Black Afrofuturist artists use their work to express complicated emotions and thoughts about the future. Some use their art to express feeling alien by way of transatlantic slave trades, becoming isolated in strange new worlds. Others imagine what Blackness might look like in a different universe and the possibilities and complexities of their identity. Afrofuturism can be seen in every area of Black art, but our story focuses on Afrofuturism as fashion, as adornment, and as a visual aesthetic. Afrofuturist style can mean so many different things, but one common theme is it reimagines a future where Black people are able to more freely express themselves. For Black femininity, Afrofuturism offers the ability to create new spaces or entire worlds where one has power and agency over their body. Writer and media producer Alison Brown describes how Afrofuturist fashions are more than aesthetic. She says, in science's shady past, the Black body was treated violently, with Black femme bodies treated as especially alien or other. In Afrofuturism, adopting an alien, cyborg, or robot alter ego is one way to reclaim this previously negative relationship with science and technology. Entertainers like Grace Jones, Solange Knowles, and Missy Elliott have all explored Afrofuturism in their work, as well as their look. This often drew criticism from the public and the entertainment industry. Some felt their aesthetics did not fit the standard of feminine, respectable, or attractive. However, many artists use this unique style as a way to unapologetically own their bodies and the way they choose to express themselves. Afrofuturism also creates a lane for Black people to express gender and sexuality outside of the strict norms placed on them. Artist Itasha Warmock uses her art to explore how Afrofuturism can be used to reimagine identity.
Really to help people to reimagine their identities. Because when we're talking about the imagination, in many respects, one of the things that we're ultimately trying to do is to look at identity, to break past some of these limitations that we associate with ourselves. Grace Jones and Janelle Monáe are other popular references as well.
Afrofuturism as an expression of identity took off in pop culture in the 80s and remains relevant today. Prince was known for adorning himself in high femme alien fashions to portray spectrums of gender. Today we see similar aesthetics in child stars Jaden and Willow Smith, who both use feminine and androgynous style choices in their self-expression. Singer Janelle Monáe mixes Afrocentric, androgynous, and robotic images to explore what freedom and future means to her as a Black queer woman. Finally, Afrofuturism acts as a form of healing. We rarely see representations of Black futures, and so Afrofuturist fashion allows us to tell our own stories that are more hopeful and self-defining than our present and past. The ability to tell and express that story is an important and powerful way to heal from the trauma of the past. Writer Shayna Watson describes Afrofuturist adornment as reimagination and liberation. She writes, "The current trend of Afrofuturism in fashion shows that our wildest dreams of a Black future are to regain our connection to our ancestors. We use the aesthetic to envision a future without mental slavery or trauma, and it is also about the ability to embrace ourselves and Black expression, and to exist in a utopia that will eventually become." This story was told by the Adornment Stories Collective, a Toronto-based group of Black women and femme youth artists and educators who wish to cultivate spaces for others like us to safely tell their stories. Our collective mission is to provide safer spaces for Black women and femme youth and to discuss the issues that are impacting their mental health, as well as developing skills around digital storytelling. You can learn more about us at adornmentstories.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at adornment.stories.